Some of you watching this right now have spent so much time trying to become a better parent, right? That somewhere along the way, you forgot that you were allowed to be a real person. You've been trying to be patient, trying to be calm, trying to be emotionally aware. You're even trying to repair. Deep down, you're even trying to break cycles. Heck, some of you are trying to manage your guilt. You're trying to stop yelling. You're trying to be more emotionally present. You're trying to be everything your child needs. And let me be clear, that effort really does matter. But if you're not careful, even the desire to be a better parent, it can turn into another person. Because now you're not just parenting your child. You're constantly evaluating yourself. And eventually, dear parent, you start believing the goal is to become a parent who never struggles, never snaps, never needs space. Heck, never feels resentment, never gets overwhelmed, never has a hard day, or never gets it wrong. But dear parent, that is not real parenting. That is performance. It is. And today we need to talk about the difference. Let me say this clearly. This is going to be very hard for some of you guys to hear this. You don't need to be a perfect parent. You need to be a real one. Folks, real parenting means you are going to have moments where you are tired, moments where you are unsure, moments where you wish you handled something differently. You're going to have moments where your past is going to show up, moments where guilt gets loud. You'll have moments where patience just runs thin, moments where you need rest, moments where you need repair, moments where you're going to need grace. That one. You see, that does not make you unfit as a parent, okay? That makes you human. And here's the problem. Many parents, they're just trying to raise emotionally healthy children while denying their own emotional reality. You see, they want their children to be honest about their feelings, while judging themselves for having feelings. You see, they want their children to know mistakes are part of learning, while punishing themselves for every mistake every day. You see, they want their children to feel safe about being human, man, while they themselves are terrified to be human. And that contradiction is very exhausting, because you cannot teach your child humanity while rejecting your own. You hear what I'm saying? You see, you cannot tell your child, oh, it's okay to make mistakes, while quietly believing your mistakes are making you unworthy. You cannot tell your child, hey, feel your feelings, while shaming yourself every time you feel overwhelmed, angry, tired, resentful, or heck, even afraid. You cannot tell your child you are loved even when you struggle, while treating your own struggle like evidence that you are failing. That is the contradiction so many parents are living inside of. right? You're trying to raise an emotionally healthy child while being emotionally cruel to yourself. You are trying to teach compassion while denying your own compassion. You're trying to model repair while punishing yourself for every time you need repair in the first place. That doesn't make sense, because eventually that split will wear you down. You see, because children don't just learn from what you say. Come on now. They learn from the emotional atmosphere you create. They learn from how you handle that imperfection. Your children will learn from how you recover after the mistakes. They learn from whether shame becomes the language of the home. You see what I'm saying? And if you are constantly rejecting your own humanity, I'm afraid your child may eventually learn that humanity is something to hide. Hell, that mistakes are dangerous. That emotions are too much. Hell, even scarier, that love has to be earned through performance. Dear parent, hear me clearly. Your humanity is not the enemy of your parenting. Okay? Your humanity is actually the doorway to deeper parenting. Because when you can say things like, I messed up, I can repair, your child will learn repair. When you can say, I'm overwhelmed and I can pause, your child will learn regulation. When you can say, I am still worthy of love even when I struggle, your child learns grace. So no, you do not teach your child humanity by pretending to be superhuman. No. You teach your child humanity by letting them see you be real, responsible, humble, accountable, and still worthy of love. You hear that? You see, you're not a bad parent. You are a human one. So let's slow this all the way down so we can all be on the same page. Because remember, there is a major difference between being a perfect parent and being a real parent. You see, a perfect parent is an image, okay? A real parent is a relationship. A perfect parent tries to avoid every single mistake. A real parent learns how to repair after one. A perfect parent hides their struggle. A real parent learns how to understand it. A perfect parent performs emotional control. But a real parent? A real parent practices emotional responsibility. A perfect parent teaches children that love looks polished. A real parent teaches children that love can be honest, accountable, and still safe. And you see, that distinction really does matter. Folks, your child is not forming their deepest sense of safety from whether you do everything flawlessly. They're not. They are learning, though, from the emotional climate that you yourself are creating. Here's what they are learning. Can hard moments be repaired? That's a good question. Can emotions be talked about? Another good question. Can mistakes be owned? That's an amazing question. Can love survive perfection or imperfection? Great question. Can connection return after conflict? That's deep. Can a person mess up and still take responsibility? Another deep one. Can family be a place where humans grow instead of perform? You see, that is what real parenting teaches. Think about those questions. And here is the truth some parents do need to hear. Your child does not need your perfection to feel safe. They don't. You see, they need your humanity to be safe. Let that sit. Not uncontrolled humanity, not unaccountable humanity, Not this is just how I am humanity. No. Honest humanity. Responsible humanity. Repairing humanity. Growing humanity. Because when your child sees you be real and accountable and willing to come back after hard moments, they learn something powerful. Folks, they learn that being human does not make them unworthy of love. They learn that mistakes are not the end of connection. My Lord. They learn that emotions can be felt without destroying relationships. That's deep. Heck, they can even learn that repair is possible. They learn that growth, it's not about shame. Heck, it's not even about weakness. That is about legacy. You hear that? So when parents believe that they must be perfect, I have to admit, it changes the emotional tone of the home in 4 ways I've noticed as a therapist. So first, it turns parenting into performance. Okay. You stop asking yourself as a parent, what does this moment need? And you start asking, well, how am I being perceived? You see, you become more focused on whether you look like a good parent than whether you are connected as a real one. Come on now, let that sit. That's very hard for folks to really wrap their heads around. Secondly, it makes mistakes feel catastrophic. I see this all the time with my clients. A hard moment becomes proof. A raised voice becomes their identity. A difficult day becomes like evidence that you are failing as a parent. And now, instead of learning from the moment, dear parent, you're collapsing under it. Third, it teaches children's perfection without saying the word. Now, that's pretty scary. Think about it. If you never tell your child to be perfect, they may feel the pressure. Because think about it. Children absorb atmosphere. That's what they do. Folks, they notice when mistakes create panic. They notice when emotions create shame in you. It's all over your face. They notice when imperfection makes the room tense. They feel it. And without meaning to, folks, we can teach them being human is dangerous. Lastly, it blocks intimacy because intimacy requires honesty. You hear that? And if you're always performing, trying to be this perfect parent, your child may experience a version of you, but not the fullness of you. You see, they may see the responsible parent. Sure. The capable parent. Yes. The strong parent. That's what we want. But they also need to experience the emotionally available parent. The humble parent. The repairing parent. The parent who can say, hey, I didn't handle that well. Or, I'm sorry. Or, I'm learning too. You see, that is not losing authority. I don't care what anybody tells you. That is modeling humanity. Think about that. Because the goal is not perfect parenting. Hear this. The goal is trustworthy parenting. Because trustworthy parenting says, I will not always get it right, my child, but I will keep coming back to you. I will not always be calm. but I will take responsibility for how I show up. I will not always know what to do, but I will stay willing to learn. I will not pretend to be flawless in front of you, but I will keep choosing connection every time. You see, that is the framework. Do you know why? Because perfection says, I must never mess this up. Trustworthiness says, when I mess up, I will not abandon the work. And dear parent, that is what children actually need. They need a parent who never struggles. They don't need that. They don't need that. A parent who does not disappear emotionally when struggle happens. That's what they need. That. Keep that in mind. Okay? So the next time you feel the pressure to be perfect in front of your kids, or even when your kids aren't there, just pause. Ask, am I trying to be flawless right now, or am I trying to be trustworthy? You see, that question can change the moment. Because flawless parenting, that asks, how do I avoid getting this wrong? But trustworthy parenting asks, hey, how do I stay connected, honest, and responsible right now? Flawless parenting asks things such as, hey, how do I control this perfectly? But trustworthy parenting, it actually asks, hey, what does repair, presence, or support look like in this moment? Flawless parenting says, if I struggle, I'm failing as a parent. Trustworthy parenting says, hey, if I struggle, I'm going to return to that work. So please ask yourself, what would a trustworthy parent do next? Because maybe the answer is, I don't know, take a breath, lower your voice in the moment, repair, apologize. What about set a boundary? How about asking for help? Tell the truth. How about you go get some rest if you can? Heck, try again. You see, that is real parenting. It's not the absence of hard moments, no, but it's the willingness to meet them with honesty. Never forget that. And so, one of the most important things that I want to give you permission to do today is you can stop trying to become a parent who never needs grace. You can stop trying to become a parent who never has a hard day. You can stop trying to become a parent who never gets tired, triggered, overwhelmed, confused, or dare I say discouraged. You are allowed to be a parent in process. You are allowed to still be learning. You are allowed to need support. Folks, you're allowed to be proud of your growth even while knowing that there's more work to do. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I go through that every day. Look, you are allowed to say, I'm not perfect, but I am present. Or, I'm not flawless, but I am accountable. I'm not finished, but I am growing. And you see, that matters. Because your child does not need you to pretend to be this superhero. No, I don't think they ever asked for that. They just need you to know that being human can still be safe. It's the one important lesson you can always give your child, day in and day out. And so after everything we've talked about, the exhaustion, the yelling, what about the guilt? The generational cycles, the pressure, the loneliness? What about the fatigue? What about the fear of failing? Let me bring it all back to this one point. You are not a bad parent because you are human. And you do not become a better parent by denying your humanity. You see, you can become healthier by understanding it. You can become safer by taking responsibility for it. You become more connected by staying present with your humanity. Folks, you become more free by letting go of the performance. You see, because perfection was never the assignment. Let's keep it 100. Presence was. Repair was. Connection was. But more importantly, humanity was. So, dear parent, take a breath. Okay? You don't need to be a perfect parent. You just need to be a real one. And real parents can still raise emotionally healthy children. Real parents can still break cycles. Real parents can still repair. Real parents can still build homes where, let's be honest, love is honest, accountable, warm, and it's safe. You see, that is the work. No, that is the movement. And it is an invitation that I give to you today. And before you go, if this message gave language to something you have been carrying for days, years, I want you to be honest. Drop it in the comments below. Okay? Where have you felt the most pressure to be perfect as a parent? And what would it look like for you to become more real instead? Think about it. Share it with us. Please like this video so another parent that's trapped in performance can find this message. Subscribe to Dear Parent, because this is where we keep having the real conversations parents need. And turn on those notifications, folks, because this channel right here, it's not just about parenting advice. Nope. It is about restoring the humanity of parents so that they can raise children from a place of honesty, connection, repair, and more importantly, love. Hey, dear parent, perfection was never the assignment. Remember, presence was. I'll see you in the next message.